This experience occurred when I was 16 years old, an age of challenge and change. I, like most boys, underwent tremendous changes both physically and mentally as I entered puberty. These changes made me emotionally unstable, and I often experienced emotional ups and downs and impulsivity. During this period, my relationship with my father became strained, and we often argued over trivial matters. I began to seek independence and tried to get rid of my dependence on him. We would often have arguments over minor things. I was confused and bored with my family. I began to question the relationship between family members and felt confused about my role in it. Sometimes I would feel alone and unappreciated, feeling that no one really understood my inner confusion and struggles. At the same time, fear of the future began to creep into my mind. I was worried about whether I would ever find my own path. At one point, I had a heated argument with my father. The reason for the argument was about my studies. At that time, I was at a critical stage in high school, facing important exams and decisions. I felt stressed and needed to focus on my studies, but my father was very strict about my academics and his expectations frustrated me. During the argument, I became more and more emotional and I couldn't stand the stress and tension in my family. I decided to leave home temporarily and go to a friend's place for a few days to seek some time to calm down. It was a hot summer day, and the continuous hot weather had been going on for almost 2 months. People were longing for a timely rainfall. It was on the last day of September that there was a change in the sky. At that time, I was playing basketball with my friends. We saw that it was going to rain, so we went back to his house. We heard the sound of raindrops hitting the glass from outside the window. We felt excited and couldn't wait to go outside the house to meet the long-awaited rainfall. We felt the change in the air. The rain gently dripped down on our bodies. While we were playing in the rain, a bolt of lightning struck me and a nearby tree. Instantly, I felt my body lose control and then fell to the ground. It happened so suddenly that I didn't have time to react in any way. As far as I can remember, I did not feel anything noticeable when the lightning struck me. No electricity passed through my body, and there was no painful sensation. The sounds around me were slowly fading. I was lying on the ground and my consciousness was becoming fuzzy. I wasn't sure if I was still alive. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in an unfamiliar place. It was as if it was an observation room, with a movie projected on the wall of the room. I was surprised to find that the clips were all scenes from my past life. One of the images struck me particularly, and it took me back to the time when I was a child. At that time, my neighbor's kid had just bought a new bicycle. He used to ride his bike around the neighborhood. I was very jealous in my heart. In that image, I saw myself creeping closer to that little boy. I wanted to make a fool of him in front of everyone. I pushed him down hard. At the time, I didn't realize the damage it was doing to him. When I saw this image here, I was shocked by my own actions. I realized the damage that this seemingly small prank had done to him. I felt guilt and remorse, acutely aware that I had acted irresponsibly and cruelly at the time. This image made me realize that hurting others not only causes them pain, but also damage to my own heart. In this observation room, I was not being judged or blamed. Suddenly, I felt the presence of a strong energy around me. I thought he was Jesus. Although I did not see his image with my own eyes, I could feel his presence and the love and warmth he radiated. In his presence, it was as if I had gained all the knowledge of the universe. All questions were answered, and they were full of deep meaning. I no longer felt confused and disoriented, everything seemed clear and meaningful. There was no verbal communication there. Because the way of communication there transcended the limits of words. I could sense a direct connection between Jesus and me in my thoughts. He understood the doubts and pains of my heart. There was nothing I could hide from him. Jesus clearly communicated to me an important message: everything is about love. The essence of this universe is love, and love is the root and driving force of all things. He showed me the power and infinite possibilities of love and gave me a deep appreciation of the importance and value of love. In addition, Jesus told me that here, time does not exist. He explained that time is just a concept, a tool created by man. Its only function is to remind us when we should do something. Here, I experienced the feeling of transcending time, where everything happens in the present moment and the past and the future are merged together. I understand that this may sound crazy or hard to understand, but here, these ideas become very clear and real. Here, too, I was able to see what it was like on Earth. I saw myself lying in a hospital bed. I was able to see clearly what was going on around me. My senses became extremely sharp and I was able to magnify and focus on what was in my field of vision. I did not feel pain, instead, I now felt very calm and serene. I heard a conversation between the doctor and my father. The doctor told my father that I had been unconscious for half an hour and that even if I woke up at this moment, I would probably have severe brain damage. I felt that the doctor was not professional and that she did not understand my state at the moment. In fact, I feel better now than I ever have. I realized that my soul was not a part of my body. In that moment, I transcended the confines of my physical body and became a silent observer. I was not interested in what was happening in the hospital, because my focus was on a higher level. I was no longer bound by the constraints of time and space. Although I cannot accurately describe this feeling in words. It left a deep imprint within me and changed my perspective on life and existence. It was at this time that Jesus made me decide to stay here or return to Earth. It was a difficult choice that left me in a state of inner conflict and struggle. Here, I felt endless love and peace. I was wrapped in an overwhelmingly beautiful energy, intimately connected to the love of God. Yet, I also saw my mother. She was crying in the hospital. I could feel the pain inside her. I knew that if I chose to stay here, she would lose me forever, which would bring her untold sorrow and pain. In the end, I made the difficult and painful decision. I chose to return to Earth and to my family. As I made my choice, Jesus sent his blessing on me. Suddenly, an invisible force began to guide me. My soul was breaking away from here. In that moment, I saw a bright flash of light that illuminated the whole scene. My soul was reconnecting with my body. I slowly felt the presence of my body and sensed the temperature and sounds around me. My consciousness returned to my body. I felt the rhythm of my breathing, the beating of my heart, and the sensation of blood flowing through my body. I slowly opened my eyes and saw the white walls of the hospital room. The moment I returned to my body, I understood that this was a rebirth. I gratefully placed my hand on my chest and felt my heartbeat. My mother's face showed surprise when she saw me awaken. She quickly came over to me, hugged me tightly, and gently said to me, "Son, you are finally awake." I felt her love wrapping around me and warming my heart. I knew that I had made the right choice. When I told my mom about the experience, she thought it was just a dream. I know that her reaction came from a lack of understanding of the supernatural experience. However, for me, it was a real and profound experience that could not be simply classified as a dream or a hallucination. At that time, the term near-death experience was not yet popular and few people talked openly about such experiences. Society had a deep prejudice against paranormal phenomena. So I chose to keep quiet and bury the experience deep inside. I knew that such an experience would not be accepted and understood by society. Over time, I have learned to accept this experience. I respect everyone's different views and beliefs about paranormal experiences. Now, 41 years later, I remain convinced that the experience was real and that it has had a profound impact on my life. Although I don't talk about it publicly, it is a constant reminder to me of the importance of love and tolerance. As the internet became more popular and information spread, I began to read articles and stories about near-death experiences on the internet. I found more and more people sharing similar experiences and feelings. Online, I found a community of understanding and accepting people sharing their own near-death experiences. I no longer felt alone. As the years passed, the term near-death experience began to become commonplace, and it became a hot topic of discussion and research. More and more books and documentaries were published. The topic is no longer ignored or marginalized, but has become a widely discussed area. I am very pleased because this means that more people are accepting this phenomenon. If someone asks me, "Do you believe that God really exists?" I would answer in the affirmative. When difficulties come, it is difficult for human beings to rely on their own strength to gain inner comfort and power. One day I found a Bible in my house. I had never read it carefully because I found its contents too cluttered. I turned to a random page that talked about the wisdom of God. I read and thought about it carefully, and I began to feel the depth of meaning. I came to understand that no matter how complex the dilemmas we face are, God's wisdom can transcend them all and give me guidance and clear direction. His wisdom will give us the courage and strength to face everything. I felt God's love and care, which gave me inner comfort and peace. After this incident, I often looked for wisdom and guidance in the Bible and applied it to my life. I became aware of the impact my actions and decisions have on myself and others. I have learned to be more humble and forgiving. I have learned to seek God's help in times of trouble and trust Him to provide solutions for me. I trust that His plan is always the best.